The purpose of bringing or devolving governance to closer to the people was as a result of the experience we had with provincial administration that dated back to the colonial times, where the colonial government ran from the governor's office through the provincial administration all the way down to the chiefs and assistant chiefs, and it became the signature of the imperial presidency under the Kanu regime from the time of Jomo Kenyatta. So there was a continuation of the colonial governance structures. Now, 2010 Constitution attempted to do away with that by introducing devolution. I would say that there has been resistance from the executive, right from the word go, on ceding power from the center. But because the devolution as a principle is one of the entrenched provisions of the Constitution, the executive has not succeeded in drilling us completely. But what could have been achieved in 12 years had the government been facilitative would have transformed this country. Unfortunately, that has not happened, and what we saw, for example, at the Homa Bay Devolution Conference was just a talk show of governors showing off. Instead of the governors being the offices that show that the people are truly sovereign, they have become 47 imperial presidencies. So to that extent, devolution has not achieved the aim and the vision set in the 2010 Constitution. We have a long way to go. But the good thing is that it is a principle in our Constitution, and we must strive to make it work. The central government has tried all it can to defund the counties by allocating funds that are not sufficient. But this will not succeed. In the end, I have no doubt at all in my mind that the vision of the 2010 Constitution will be realized, and the governors will become servants of the people rather than little presidents out there. The chief of opposition to the new Constitution was the Kanu faction in Parliament, led by William Ruto, the current president, and his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta. But the voice in Parliament was that of William Ruto. And I remember that they tried to force more than 200 amendments to diminish the provisions of the 20th Constitution, but they didn't succeed because we kept denying them the 2/3 majority that was required to amend the Constitution. And I remember, and if you go back to the answer, you will find a very frustrated William Ruto shouting at us, and me in particular, for walking out, because we would wait until the speaker called a division, and we were about 11. We would walk out and we would deny them the necessary quorum. So the attempt failed, despite massive bribing of members of parliament. There was still a small team of parliamentarians that succeeded in ensuring that the Constitution, as approved by the people, took effect.
We thought that partisan or politics of patronage would be finished by this particular act. 12 years later, we are seeing political leaders from particular regions, from political groupings, still trooping to State House, things that were happening during Moi days, claiming that they are there to seek development for their regions, and that they have to kneel down for.
It's unfortunate that in that regard, President William Ruto, who was very opposed to the new constitution, is at State House, and the old habits die hard. President Ruto has never internalized the vision of the 2010 constitution. He continues to run the government as if there is no constitution in place. But fortunately for us, because the judiciary has been substantially freed, attempts by the executive, particularly President William Ruto and his predecessor, and to some extent even Mwai Kibaki, for example, when he attempted to appoint a chief justice without consultations as provided for. Those attempts have been frustrated by the courts. And we've seen now attempts also to reduce the functionality of the judiciary by denying them the necessary funding. The concept that we had when we wrote the 20th Constitution was that those areas that had been underdeveloped over a period of time, and those counties that were facing historical injustices would be served under an equalization fund. And we've seen members of parliament fighting for this equalization fund year in, year out. And these are some of the methods the government has been using to kill the spirit of the 2010 Constitution.
In terms of constitution and constitutionalism, do you believe our leaders, including those who are once in opposition or those who are in opposition currently, do you believe that Kenyan leaders currently are being driven by the spirit of the constitution and constitutionalism?
Certainly not. The spirit of greed is what controls most of our leaders, and money. But the very vision, the very spirit of the 2010 Constitution is contained in Article 1. This people, all power belongs to the people. So despite what we're saying from politicians who are financially benefiting from the old order, is that the people are still the sovereign movers of the vision of the 2010 Constitution. And this will become realizable in 2027 when they do the elections, when practically all of them will be thrown out because they do not represent the wishes or the vision of the people of Kenya. And we do need a leadership that really understands the purpose of the 2010 Constitution. And President Ruto's greatest failure has been his attempts in action and inaction to roll back the Constitution. And that is what has led to this movement of one-term presidents. Of course, in this regard, I'm sure my friend Raila Odinga will be disappointed to hear from me